was trying to communicate with. They did know that he had some type of warrant out for his arrest, and they did say that that suspect had knives on him.
That's right, Steve. We're fortunate to be joined by Chief Bob Day and Sergeant Kevin Allen. We're about to get a live update on all that's went down. Stay with us. We're about to begin.
All right, is anybody not ready?
We're going to be ready in about 15 seconds.
15 seconds, okay.
Chief, is there any information you can tell us about what happened here today?
We'll get it to you in just a second. Kevin's going to give everybody an update as soon as we got everybody ready to go here.
I know a lot of you are live. I want to say thank you to all of you who are here. My name is Sergeant Kevin Allen. I'm a public information officer for the Portland Police Bureau. I can tell you that the suspect that was involved in the incident from Monday is now in custody. He is not injured, and my understanding is right now he's actually on his way to jail. Where for the past few hours now, we have been at this location. There were some streets blocked because of the operation here, and we were using the Special Emergency Reaction Team and the Crisis Negotiation Team, coupled with the Major Crimes Unit from the Detective Division, as well as Central Precinct Neighborhood Response Team and patrol officers. So it was a pretty broad operation. And I'm going to have the chief speak to his priorities and the reason we devoted so many resources to this. But the short version is that we established that the suspect was in a tent at this location, 21st and Hoyt. And the Special Emergency Reaction Team used their vehicles. They have armored vehicles that they use to move in, surround the tent so that he couldn't run like he did on Monday. That was our concern, that he would be out in the neighborhood running around with knives and other weapons. So the priority was to get him contained. That was very successful, kept him in the tent, and then we slowed things down, used time as a tactic, used our crisis negotiators to try to communicate with him and do everything we could to resolve this in with the least amount of force necessary. There was some tools that were used, including OC canisters and CS gas. There was also EDU robots that we have in place here that were also utilized in order to make sure that everything was resolved in as safe a manner as possible. And my understanding is there were no injuries as a result of this. So I will be available for questions. Commander Hughes will be available for questions, but I'm going to have Chief Bob Day step forward and have a few words.
Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it. First of all, I just want to thank the community for their patience, for their understanding. The last couple of days, particularly here in Northwest, I've heard some of the frustration and concerns. I've also heard some of the appreciation expressed by Portlanders in terms of the approach that we took on Monday to try and de-escalate things as the incident unfolded, and certainly Commander Hughes has a better understanding of that. Know that number one priority of the Portland Police Bureau is the sanctity of life, and we will always look to prioritize that in all that we do, and that includes everyone's safety and the value of everyone involved. So certainly, first and foremost, this suspect, what is the potentially best outcome for him, also the safety of our members as well as the safety of the greater community. We weigh those risks in every situation we encounter. Sometimes we have more time to evaluate those than we do others. I want to really congratulate, or at least recognize and thank the men and women of the Portland Police Bureau who over the last 24 to 48 hours have been very thoughtful in their response, have been very collaborative. We worked across numerous divisions. Today I made the decision to make this arrest a priority. I believe that the risk involved in his behavior, the suspect's behavior, both it posed to himself as it posed to the community and could potentially pose if there was another officer involved encounter. By bringing in additional resources, prioritizing this, we were able to bring this to a safe conclusion with no injuries. And that's the outcome that we desire anytime we have to use force or interdict behavior. We want to try and do that at the lowest level possible. So yes, it was a big commitment on us, but it was necessary to make sure that we could have this resolved. I'll take a few questions if there aren't.
Portlanders expect this kind of response for all arrests associated with folks in the houseless community who may be exhibiting mental health crisis?
No, this is definitely a unique approach. We had a significant amount of information to go off of, not only the events of Monday night, but the last couple of days. We know that he had a warrant for resist arrest for prior involvement with law enforcement. I do think that this is an opportunity for us to continue to strive towards the mayor's plan of ending unsheltered homelessness, that we have a crisis on our streets. And I am very supportive of his initiative to try and change that dynamic so that, particularly starting with the removal of tents and tarps, which do provide a place that can conceal behavior that makes our jobs much more difficult and certainly higher risk. And so I don't see this as a ongoing typical response to incidents, but we will continue to evaluate each one as they come.
This week, you guys emphasized the importance of de-escalating the situation and that the suspect was not a threat to the public. What changed to the point where you guys had to use gas?
Right. So de-escalation takes a lot of different forms, and sometimes de-escalation may appear that we're escalating by bringing in additional resources or using additional tools, but we intentionally have the ability to stair-step our approach. It doesn't mean that it's escalating. It's actually a reduction. So even though we used gas in this particular case, that's still allowing for that standoff distance. It's still allowing for him to be able to participate in the arrest process, so we don't have to go into the tent, drag him out, put hands on, maybe get into an altercation with a knife or have it be a deadly force. So the overall risk assessment is always ongoing. We made a decision on Monday night. As I said, we've been evaluating that risk, not only the risk to the community, but there's certainly a risk to him personally, and then there's certainly anything. If we knew we were going to be taking him into custody at some point, we wanted to minimize that risk, and so doing so today was the safest way possible.
Chief, do you think that there was a possibility that the public could have be put in danger after being subjected to another standoff when there was an opportunity for an arrest on Monday?
Yeah, there's certainly risk. There was risk on Monday. There was risk today, right? And we can never eliminate risk. Our job is to try and mitigate it as much as possible. So we made decisions on Monday that we will carefully review and evaluate as to whether or not we believe those were the best decisions at the time. But I'm always going to defer and trust in the judgment and the leadership of the men and women on the ground doing the work. And we have really competent supervisors that I have a lot of confidence in. But that does not mean that this won't be looked at thoroughly from start to finish to see if another response was available. As I mentioned, we have heard from numerous Portlanders who appreciated the fact that we stepped away on Monday night, that we took the approach that we did. But I also am sympathetic to the fact that we have a lot of people in this neighborhood, businesses and so forth, that were impacted directly, and our stepping away produced a period of time of concern, and I want to be sensitive to that as well. And so we will be taking all that in. For the remainder of this evening, at least, there will be a higher level of police presence. We're going to have our bike squad and folks up here doing outreach. We are circling back with some of the businesses that were impacted, trying to provide a better picture of why the decisions we made and how we ended up here today.
Why did your officers fail to secure the parking lots before deploying CS gas?
I'm not available for that question. I don't know the details of that. I can find out for you, but I don't have an answer for that.
There were children present. Does that concern you?
Okay. I don't have any details on the exact operation today. I'm sure that Kevin Allen can get that for you.
Have you been briefed?
I've been briefed overall on the incident, yes, but not specifics on that. Just the overall that we were here, that we used gas, and we took him into custody. I don't have the details about how it was set up, but Kevin can get that for you.
Because the gas made it all the way to Gleason.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
I have a question about the less lethal munition used on him the other day.
Guys, we're gonna
He's
go
got a
ahead
pretty
and
deep
break
wound
away
on his
for
left
now.
hand
That
that he says was caused by the less lethal that was shot at him. Can you give us more information on what was used and what possibly could have caused that wound? Like, what was deployed?
Yeah, I'm not aware of what was. I mean, I have some idea, but Brian, do you have anything specific, or do you want to have Kevin follow up on that?
No, I can answer that.
Okay.
Yeah, so on Monday night, the officers deployed a taser, and they also deployed a 40 millimeter foam round. And I'm not certain that that is what caused the injury, but I can assure you that as soon as he was taken into custody, we had medics on scene that were able to evaluate him and evaluate that injury. So
if he needs stitches or staples, would that be like a jail refusal sort of thing, where he would be turned away from the jail and have to go to the hospital for the injury?
that's a possibility, yeah. The medics typically on scene, our Portland Fire medics, are embedded with our Special Emergency Response Team, and they can also evaluate a wound like that to determine whether or not a hospital is the better route or jail. Yes.
Knowing when police presence may escalate a situation and help them come back. And I'm wondering, when you're evaluating the situation, what were those conversations? Is our presence helping? Or...
Yeah. So de-escalation is a thing that occurs over time. There's a viral video out that shows the man basically fleeing from police. He appears very scared. The public appears very scared. But once we were able to control the situation there and take people out of that area and calm things down a little bit, we were able to de-escalate him. But over time determined that the focus for him was the police. So that is a really non-traditional way of handling a call like that. I was involved and I was aware, and as the precinct commander I do take ownership for that decision that was made that night. But ultimately we pulled the police back, which seemed to be the cause of his excitement that evening. And we did leave officers on scene to ensure there was no additional threat to the public. Had there been a threat to the public, we would have had officers come right back and resolve the situation then. But I think what you saw on Monday night was taking police back a little bit, calm the situation down. And as I said yesterday when I was interviewed, this gentleman was going to be taken into custody, and he is now in custody. So we do have a duty to protect the citizens of Portland, and I think what you saw today was a coordinated and well-planned effort to do that. You'll see a school behind me over here to the right, and I want to address the issue of, bringing a CERT team into a neighborhood like this. We were aware that there's a school here and contacted the school. We had a school resource officer that came to the location, a school liaison officer that came to the location to work with the school to ensure that children were not released on this side of the building. They were released on the other side of the building. Parents were able to pick up the kids, and really with low impact, as low impact as possible to the children. So the plan, ultimately, we hope to have police presence and take people into custody just by our presence, and the overwhelming majority of our arrests happen just that way. And we certainly hope that that would have happened today. It did not, and we escalated incrementally the force that was used up to the point where chemical incapacitant was used to take the gentleman into custody safely, as safe as possible for him, as safe as possible for the officers, and as safe as possible for this community.
Will you be making information about the man and his previous property crimes available?
Yes. Yeah. And I can speak to the additional charges if you want me to speak to that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So I can't quite release his name. I'm waiting for them to actually book him, but I know that in addition to the identity theft felony warrant out of Clackamas County, there was a misdemeanor resist arrest warrant out of Multnomah County. And over the course of this week, the Major Crimes Unit applied for and obtained an additional warrant for the events of Monday. Those charges include attempted assault on a police officer, unlawful use of a weapon, unlawful use of mace in the first degree, menacing, escape in the third degree, and disorderly conduct in the second degree. And just one other quick note about the Metropolitan Learning Center, which is right here. The incident commanders were well aware of the concerns and the fact that kids are here. I mean, you can hear them and see them, and that was very top of mind as this operation was planned and executed. That's why we had a school liaison officer here, and the school did go into secure perimeter, which just means that all operations inside were underway, the kids were in class, all of that was happening, but the outer doors were locked for safety. And then we had a tremendous amount of resources here as well to ensure that the school was safe, so that was successful. Did that answer your question?
Yeah. Thank you. And
Sure.
I was wondering if you know how many police officers were sent out on Monday night specifically.
I will have to get back to you on that. Can you email me that question? Because I can probably find that out for you. All right, thank you all.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you.